Hello everyone, welcome to Dennis Saliba Occult Fortean. In today's video, this video is going to be a little bit different compared to the other live streams and the other videos, because I'm going to be talking directly about my experiences with the supernatural. I have had quite a few, I might add. And again, this is a very unscientific channel. This is a esoteric and more world of woo-woo, hocus pocus is our focus here on this channel. Hello, Babbling, how you doing? You're tired, you just woke up. Oh, you had a nap? Did you have a nap? But basically, when I was a child, I used to have this really strange ability to get into a trance when I was consciously awake. And this is something that I was born with in particular. And one of the groups of entities that I used to see was I guess like a family of spider entities, and the different species of like astral, ghostly, translucent spider beings represented different parts of reality. I was about 3-4 years old at the time. No older than 5. It was such a long time ago. And I was walking down the hallway in a family friend's house. We were very close with these people. And in the hallway, I see what looked like a giant tarantula. This thing was massive. This thing was like the size of half the size of a fridge. And it was like a blue tarantula, and it was weaving these webs like this with its pedipalps. And I looked closer at its pedipalps, and this thing in its webs looked like it had moving like strings, but in those moving strings, there were like little TV screens. And this is back in the 90s, like analog TV screens. And these TV screens were a little bit grainy at first, and then they became increasingly higher and higher in definition, and kind of like what you see today with today's TV screens. And then each TV screen was like a movie playing of different aspects of time, like events in the future, events from the past, things in like World War II that I hadn't read about before, things in World War I that I hadn't read about before. And each TV screen was like different events playing out. And this thing was just wrapping these events in a TV screen, and then all of a sudden it just vanished. It was just out of sight because it like noticed that I saw it, and it was like, and it vanished. It was very strange. It was very surreal and very, very lucid. Same Babbling, they told me I was daydreaming. I was told that too as well. I was told that by this thing, that this was a weaver of time, and it was a weaver of events, and then what these astral, or some, not all of the astral spiders are good. There's like a spectrum of the astral spiders. But this particular blue species of astral spider was telling me that it was a weaver of time and timelines, and then it would grab people's astral bodies and, you know, do that with its pedipalps, and then align that person with other people down, like all these, like there were like all these masses of people, and then they were traveling down these timelines, and then these spiders would like intertwine the relationships of people with other people in different timelines like that. It was very strange. Skyrim size, yeah. Another astral spider species that I remember very vividly was called the Devouring Mother. This might be more of a Carl Jung archetype. I remember seeing this when I was more so asleep in my dreams. I was asleep, and basically this thing was like a giant, thick astral funnel web about the size of my computer screen, so about this big. Pretty big thing, but it was like an astral funnel web about this big. And then this thing had like a purple crown mark on it. So it was like imagine a black funnel web, astral funnel web with like a purple crown on it. And this dream was about the devouring mother. And what it did is it would stay up in the corner of the room, and it would, crawl, 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 crawl. Hey, Smell, how you doing, Smell? Good to have you on board, Smell. So it was in the corner of my room in this dream, and then it was like crawling out, and it would hiss. But the way it would hiss, it would be like a telepathic communication. So I knew what it was thinking, it knew what I was thinking, but it would use like hiss as like a vocal language, and then it would communicate its thoughts through hissing, like a hissing language, like a. I can't even do it. It's so strange. It was like a little bit like a snake, I guess, but this was like an astral funnel web spider with a purple crown on its back. And then the other family entities, there were two entities that are heavily tied, three entities that are heavily tied to my bloodline, which is Maa Kaali Maa. She is the demon killer and the demon destroyer. And yeah, like his shudders in a way, and like that's how they communicate the different thoughts and through different frequencies. It's very strange. So no snakes, Dennis. I never saw spiders. See, you're lucky you got the snakes. I got the spider end of business. And then there were three entities largely in my family bloodline, because I'm half Hungarian, half Lao. So my working belief is that I am from a shamanic bloodline. I've had two churches not related to this discern and come to this conclusion themselves, a Catholic church and a Protestant church. And then on top of that, I've had a lady from Vietnam living in Vietnam. I visited Vietnam in 2016, and she told me as well that you're from a very special bloodline. And she's not connected to those other two churches at all. So to me, that's not a coincidence. And the three entities very heavily tied to my bloodlines in my dreams, in my visions, and sometimes when I'm awake as well, is Maa Kaali, Kaali Maa. She's the demon hunter. She's much like the Archangel Gabriel in terms of her role, her function. She basically kills demons. She destroys bloodlines. She kills Lord Ravana in Hinduism, the demon chief. She cuts off his head and she drinks his blood, and then she basically eats him, so that way no more demons can grow out of his blood. That's the gist of the Kaali Maa story. So that's the entity very heavily tied to my bloodline. And then she has two other beings, which are my familiar spirits. There's Lucidia. Lucidia is like this naga. She's like a snake person, like one of the nagas from Laos. And she taught me a lot about the occult herself. I did not invoke her at all. She was born into my bloodline. So I was basically seeing her from day one. And then there's also it's like the Hindu end time story smell. Kaali Maa cuts off the head of the demon chief, and she drinks his blood, and then she basically eats him. And then she doesn't just eat his body; she eats his like astral form and all the other forms. It's an insane story, that one. And then with the other being, which I discovered later when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I saw her. She revealed herself to me. I didn't perform a ritual because I was an 8-year-old who was raised Catholic. I went to 2 Catholic schools in primary school and high school. There was Asilia. Asilia is like one of the lieutenants of Maa Kaali. And then Lucidia is kind of like the family guardian in my bloodline. And I do see actually visions of my great grandparents. They look a lot like traditional Lao people. Like you'll see them with their Lao version of a sarong, which is like that cloth, that Lao cloth with the Lao dress, with the headdress and the bangles. That's like my great grandma. She looks like that. She looks a lot like that. She will wave at my door sometimes, especially at nighttime. She waves around my door. She walks around the hallways. I hear invisible footsteps when no one is around, because this is a 2-story house. I'm downstairs. Upstairs is where I'll see her like walking around the hallway. Sometimes she'll wave at the door of the kitchen. But back to the astral spiders. Smell. Thanks, Smell. I appreciate that. Has anyone ever told you you're a good speaker, very concise and engaging? I appreciate that. Good man. Good man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, Smell. So in this dream, this was a dream that I had the warning about the funnel web with the purple crown. This was a very special spider. This was not like the other spiders. There was a giant funnel web like spider with the purple crown, but in the dream, this isn't in the awake vision, this is in the dream. I'm walking around castle walls, and I'm walking in what looks like the ruins of this castle, presumably from like the 1400s, but this is a ruin. I'm an adult in this dream, and then these two, what looks like mouse spiders, red mouse spiders, start talking to me in this very crazy, vivid dream that I have. And they're telling me, this is the way that you're going to walk. The Spider Queen wants to meet you. The Spider Queen wants to meet you. So I'm flanked by these two cousins of the funnel web, the mouse spider, one to the left and one to the right. I'm flanked by them. And they're basically escorting me. And if I try to walk away from them, they raise their fangs like this with their pedipalps. Spiders do that. They raise their pedipalps when they're on guard. But these things will like hiss. But unlike the other spider weaving the timelines, these ones could talk. The other one talked telepathically. These ones could talk verbally. So there was something more to them. I think they were more on the demonic side. That's the vibe that I got anyway. And then they're walking me to meet the Spider Queen, and they're saying, you must meet the Spider Queen. And in this dream, the Spider Queen became massive. The Spider Queen was about the size of a Cadillac. The body of the Spider Queen was like the size of a Cadillac. And it was sitting there, perched up on the web with its legs out, of course. And then behind the Spider Queen, there is a fraternity, what looks like one of those occult fraternities. And they bore the names Esterhazy, Wallenberg. They bore the names Esterhazy, Wallenberg. There was a Rothschild there, one or two of the Rothschilds. There was the House of Saxe-Coburg, the House of the French House. I'm trying to think of the French House's name. Goddamn, the French House's name was now my memory is shot. But it starts, I think it starts with an F. Sorry, Lafayette. Lafayette was also mentioned, and the Rothensteins, and they had the shields in the background and like this temple. Dang, dude, that's terrifying. Yeah, I saw lots of horrifying shit as a kid. This is probably why I'm such a messed up adult. The giant Spider Queen was I was trying to confront it. So basically in the vision, there were medieval weapons around me. There was like spears and swords and armor, and there was like a giant Lafayette. Yeah, it was Lafayette. And there was like a giant chessboard, like a stone chessboard in front of me, and the Spider Queen was materializing between two pillars. giant stone pillars, and then these looked like Yakin and Boaz. I suspect that this was Freemasonic, that this was Yakin and Boaz. This was a psychic attack on me. I didn't initiate this because I was 8 years old. Is this what they mean by insectoids control the elites Lushmax? I would believe that. I am inclined to believe that. I was very physically drained after this vision, but it was so vivid that I still remember this. And basically, the dream cuts out into a grainy TV look, and then there's a vision of my biological mother, and then behind her there's a vision of like handlers in the scenes behind my biological mother, but not just my biological mother, also my foster mother. Hey, Tayana, nice to see you on board, man. How you doing? Tayana, good to see you, man. Like, let me read. I think I was getting loosh farmed last month, like majorly loosh. I wouldn't be surprised, Tayana. These fraternities can prey against people. There are dark rituals that can prey against people, and they do have different effects. Hey, 2X, how you doing? Good to have you on board, man. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. I appreciate this. Let me just scroll up to my live for a sec, so that way I can mod people if they want to get the sword, get the wrench, get the sword. Tana, I'll mod you. That's fine. I'll give you moderation, and Smal, I'll give you moderation as well. Because again, you guys could just beat the crap out of these trolls. So the Spider Mother and the fraternity behind them. So those were key names behind the Spider Mother, and this was in the Mother of Darkness Castle. That's supposedly where this location was. The Mother of Darkness Castle in Europe was named. And then in this vision, I try to grab a giant spear. I'm an adult man in this vision. I grab a giant spear, I throw it at the Spider Mother, but the Spider Mother catches this spear in its pedipalps and then in its fangs. And then this spear is made out of like pure steel. And then the Spider Mother just bites it in half. It just snaps it in half. So spears don't work on this thing. And then Lucidia, she's the female Lao spirit Naga. I think she's a Naga class of spirit. She grabs me by the arm and then she guides me and tells me that this is the Spider Mother. The only way to defeat her is to play the game of chess. And then the Spider Mother grabs one of the pawns, and then these chess pieces on the chessboard manifest, they materialize. And this Spider Mother grabs one of the pawns and then places the pawns forward with her giant legs. Her giant legs are like ridiculously long. They were like twice as long as like a 6 foot tall man. It was a ridiculously large entity. The body of the Spider Mother was like the size of an SUV, guys. This is like an SUV sized spider body with giant legs. And then this thing places one of the pawns forward, so I push the pawn on my side of the board forward, and then it pushes the next pawn forward, and then I do the same, and then it moves the horse, and then I move the horse, and then it begins to move the bishop, and then I move the bishop, and then we're playing this chess game, and then behind the Spider Mother, the flashes into like a gray analog TV, and then I see people making deals. I see people like the Eshtahazi family, who I'm actually blood related to. I find out like 20 years later, I'm blood related to these guys, making deals with other families like the House of Saxe-Coburg. There's King Charles there, King Charles III now. There's the Queen, of course. The Queen was alive back then. This is in the 90s, this vision. There was a sighting of Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was in the vision as well. And then they're all chanting this ungodly chant. It's a lot like that Eyes Wide Shut chant in Romanian, but it's like a reverse. It's like a reverse Catholic hymn. So I'm not going to recite it because it might loosh farm you guys. And I've got to spiritually protect you guys. I have my Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist dagger and my hammer of Thor, of course, because related to Hungarian bloodlines, that's part of my bloodline. The Tibetan, Lao, Nepalese, Hungarian connection is also connected to the Tibetan belief system, which is the Tibetan dagger. So for any entities, I always keep this with me. Sup smell, loosh frequency. Yeah, I think it was a big loosh frequency. And then the Naga spirit grabs my arm after I've moved the pieces, and then my ancestors appear. My Lao ancestors appear, and my Laotian ancestors are praying and chanting against the Hungarian ancestors, and another name gets pulled out of this bowl like this. It gets pulled out of this bowl in this metaphysical temple of theirs with these like pillars. It looks like a Roman temple, and that name is Bathory, like the Queen Elizabeth Bathory of Hungary. That name gets pulled out of the golden bowl. That's all right, Blacks. If you need a rest, it's okay to rest. This video will be up, and I'll talk more about these visions and dreams that I've had, because I've had a lot. I've even had visions where my ancestors and my Hungarian family sent Pazuzu against me more than once. I've had a lot of visions and dreams. I've done 1 or 2 exorcisms as well. It's not fun. It's not a pretty bit of work, but I have suspicions as to why. A lot of this is ancestral karma and ancestral bullcrap for the Esterhazis making deals with the Nazis, which is in the history books, by the way. You can verify this. So the name Bathory gets poured out of the golden bowl. My Naga protector, family spirit ancestor Lucidia, funnily enough, her name means enlightened or light in Latin. She goes to me by the arm and then she says, Dennis, the only way, this is the all-devouring mother. She is the spirit of the mother who eats her children. And then the spiders that were in this cave, in this chessboard. The chessboard was inside the cave. There were 2 pillars behind the chessboard. And then there was this fraternity, like temple-like thing behind that in the astral, and like this cloudy gray mist behind them, in front of the temple, but behind the astral spider. And then in this vision, the astral spider, the Naga ancestors telling me that this is the mother, this is the astral soul body of your foster mother, who is a politician. My foster mother is a politician. She is literally a politician. And the 2 mouse spiders earlier in the vision crawl up into the web, away from me, crawl up into the web. And then the spider mother just starts eating them, starts eating some of her children. And some of the other spiders in the cave start eating the other funnel web spiders, but they were black. These were black funnel web spiders. But the giant spider, mother spider, eats her own children. And I was warned that this is the archetype and the spirit of the all-devouring narcissistic mother. So that vision ends, and then I wake up as a child. I was 8 years old at the time, and then I see an astral version of like a mouse spider about this size, like above my head, and it's like going. And then I wake up again, and then I don't see the astral spider anymore. Another vision that I remember was walking upstairs. I would be able to get into these trances even when I was consciously awake, not in the dreaming world. And I would always see spiders of different species and different kinds that were ghost-like. And then again, I talked about the blue tarantula, I talked about the spider mother. Another strange spider entity was the very colorful rainbow. It was like a rainbow colored DMT-esque type of tarantula. This tarantula was big. It was about the size of my table. So I can't even show it on screen. This thing was like this big. And I actually felt really calm and really happy when it came. It appeared out of nowhere, and then this giant tarantula thing was like walking around on the ground, and it was like patching parts of reality. This particular species was like using its silk, and it was like closing portals and repairing portals and sort of like fixing the astral reality around me. It's pretty strange. I'm just going to read some comments, and I'll talk more about the astral spiders for today. Father Time Maxing, yeah. Sadly, it's true, Tayana. The holidays are supposed to be your protection. Don't get loose now. Smell. November and December must be loose harvesting seasons. Normally, November and December is when the lines between the dead and the living thin. That line thins, and then the spirits of the spirits who passed away. In particular, I'm referring to Samhain. The veil is thin, and then you wish the people who have passed on into the bardo, the ether, the afterlife, a good life into the rebirth process. But again, that's pagan cosmology. I'm more of a pagan. I have more of a pagan mindset because of Lao Buddhism, but not just Lao Buddhism. I practice more the Tibetan Buddhism side, and then I practice more of the runes and the Elder Fuldark runes, as I believe the Hungarian runes are either very gate-kept or they're very compromised. It's got to be one of the two. That's just pure intuition. Realm Engineer Spider, that's exactly what it was like. This really vivid DMT-esque spider being, astral spider, and it was just like repairing these like black portals that I could see as a kid. No one else could see them. I could see them, and they would like be like a black mirror or like a black door, and then this like little white-ish ghostly translucent like portal was like behind it, and the spider was just wrapping him up. But that spider gave me really good energy. I felt really relaxed and actually really happy to see this spider. And this thing was crawling in front of my bedroom door. It was wild. But there were like other times when I would get into these trances where I would see heaps of spiders in their webs. And then there were like spiders that sort of looked like those garden spiders, astral garden spiders, astral wolf spiders, astral I'm not a fan of these ones. These ones are really scary. These ones are the redbacks. These are like redback spiders. These are like Australia's version of a black widow. There were also black widow astral spiders as well. And then the black widows and the astral spiders of the redbacks were like this big. They were much smaller than the funnel web types. But I was warned that different, again, Lucidia, warning me that these different spiders had different purposes. Some would eat souls, others would eat demon souls, other spiders would try to create timelines, other spiders would create curses and prayers against people and basically loosh farming. And then certain spiders, when I would walk around their webs, because I was in like this conscious trance. I was consciously awake, by the way. I was in these trances. And then I would like, my parents would be like, Dennis, what are you doing? And I would like walk around what I would perceive as the webs. And I was born with this gift. I was born with this really weird gift where I could see entities, I could hear entities, I could hear their thoughts, and I could hear the thoughts of fraternities behind them. Sometimes for me, these trances are so strong that I can gather energy and readings from an entity as far as from Australia into Pakistan and Japan. That's how powerful these feelings are for me sometimes. It's a bit like that show Medium, a little bit like that, but I don't do mediumship. I do more of the prayer, exorcism, healings, shamanic stuff. Basically anything that kills demons, dogmen, dark entities, banishes them, launches counter curses on dark fraternities, I am all for. Whether you were an Abrahamic, Christian, Islamic, Jewish follower, or whether you're like a Buddhist, Hindu, if you're a believer of something that kills entities, then I'm all for it. Tayana, I had a dream that I was in a Squid Games type scenario and some dude was going to stab me in the eye with a pen. He was not friendly. That could be the embodiment of someone sending you a curse, Tayana. Someone might have cursed you. I'm not going to lie. When you say you got looshed and you got cursed in your streams, I believe it. I believe some witch, possibly from Mexico, possibly from the US, used a like a La Llorona type of curse on you, to be honest. In my home, I have my grandma ghost because she died in my home, and now she brought ghosts to my house, and I want them out. That's pretty eerie, man. Just be cautious with some of those ghost manifestations because they might be, I won't say that they're demons in disguise, but they might be other entities pretending to be people you love, and more often than not, that is the case. It is rare to meet the ghost of a relative unless you've had a pre-arranged agreement in the realm of the living. I had a dream a couple of months ago where one of you guys killed me, Blacks. Oh, sorry, 2X. That's horrifying. No. You don't talk to them at all. That's good. That's good. Don't give them legal entry. Interactions with these things give them legal entry. And when you give them not just energy, but if you give them interaction, that's why it's very important to be mindful of the types of wording you use in your hymns, your prayers, your rituals, whatever you practice. And this book led me towards my occult path. This is more of an Abrahamic book in the sense that it's Christian. This is Spiritual Warfare by Dr. Ed Murphy. I read this book back to back twice when I was a 16-year-old because of all the supernatural stuff that I used to deal with growing up, even into my teens, I might add. But what I want to show you guys is a specific graph that even pagans can benefit from this type of book. But if you're Christian, I strongly recommend this book. It's like a 101 of how to be a pastor and how to deal with these things. If you are, again, not saying you have to believe X or Y because your ancestral path might be different. If you're from Mexico, you might be more, like your biosphere, your blood ancestral memory connection to the spirit might be more tied with Mexican entities, for example, or if you're, you know, Native American, same deal. African American, same deal. If you're Caucasian American or Caucasian wherever, same deal. So your ancestral soul blood tie memories will be different. So you get entitled to different legal rights in the spiritual world, but you also get entitled to different spiritual power. So this is more of the Abrahamic side, but it does tie into lifestyle. And it's a very important graph, this one. This is on page, I can't really see it. This is on page 134, page 134. So as you can see here, the supernatural interacts with the material, and then basically your thought leads to choices. Your choices, I know it's in reverse. Your choices lead to habits. Your habits lead into attachments or bondages. Pagans believe in attachments as well, so do Buddhists. And then you get down into the spiral of total control. That's a very important graph. And then that graph is telling you that what you do, whatever rituals you do in your blood, soul, spirit, be it, you know, drinking alcohol, sleeping with a bunch of women or men or both, you know, doing like drugs like crystal. I'm just going to say crystal. I'm going to use that proper word. Those things have spirits attached to them, and then they attach to you. And that's why when I talk about the whole PUA stuff and the whole PUA programming in particular with millennials, but also Gen Z as well, there is STDs. There are sexually transmitted demons. And sex magic is definitely a thing. It is it was definitely pushed a lot by Aleister Crowley, but not just him. There were other sex magic practitioners before Crowley as well. I definitely believe some witch put a spell on me and it made me lose my hair. That's one of the signs it was a curse, Diana. I think someone definitely cursed you. I think someone's definitely cursed you, Diana. That's definitely a sign. Normally, hair is a bonding agent, like a conduit. I talked about conduits the other day, the other stream. But basically, hair in witchcraft is used to put a curse directly on someone, or it's used to put an attachment entity directly on someone. You could even send thought forms to do your dirty spiritual work on someone through a hair ritual. That's possible. It's done. I've heard of it used in voodoo and other forms of like Caribbean magic as well. She's for the streets on demon time. Another thing I want to show you guys is it's about the lifestyle. Gotta find the thing. I should have been more prepared before I made today's stream. But basically, there are different spider entities that I used to see that exist, and then like funnel webs, for example, could curse and poison people, but they also eat demon souls. And then you have like redback entities. You had like huntsman entities in the astral world, and they were like pretty big. They were like at least this big or bigger. But the scary ones that I used to always have dreams about a lot were like these garden spiders with like a hard shell, long, hard abdomen shell, very long. They were like as long as a bathtub, if not bigger than a bathtub, these entities. So there was definitely something going on in my ancestral bloodline, and I later found out, like 22 or so years later, that I am related to the Esterhazy family. I'll post more streams about this in the future, about the Esterhazys and Maa Kaali. There is a second part 2 of the spider mother entity. And basically, when I would discover the connections with the pyramid, with the free carpentry, the free carpenters, the stone cutters, code stone cutters, That's when the banishment of the all-devouring spirit, all-devouring mother spirit would begin. And then basically the entity, the giant SUV-sized entity in the second vision that I had when I was about 16, 17 years old, would be knocked off the spider web by Maa Kaali, Maa Kaali. She's the demon killer of Hinduism. And she kills demon Kali. There's two Kalis for the Abrahamics. There's demon Kali, who is the degeneracy demon of Hinduism, and even parts of Buddhism as well. And demon Kali is like the hedonist demon that makes everybody fall to vices, and then brings out the Kali Yuga, which is the age of Kali, the demon Kali. And then you have the goddess Kali, Maa Kaali, and she's basically the demon killer. And in this vision, the goddess Maa Kaali, Kaali Maa, knocks the spider off the web, the giant spider, and then she has like her swords out, and then she cuts the abdomen, she cuts off its legs, and then she keeps stabbing the abdomen, and then she like stomps on the abdomen, and then the devouring mother is no more in my life. And then the number 33, interestingly enough, appeared in my vision in this dream, and 33 would be the age, the foretold age. Remember, I was 16 at the time when I had this vision. This is the part 2. 33 would be the number of the age in which I would begin to administer to the spirits and those of spiritual afflictions. At least that's what happened. But I think the 33 is referring to not the free carpentry or the stone cutters. I'm going to call them stone cutters on this channel. The 33 was the age in which I started getting deeper into this. And that dream itself came true. Another being that I remember meeting, I was about 4 or 5 years old. I remember being in a trance, and then I saw this like dark, shadowy world around me, and then this dark, shadowy world became like a bright light. The Tara, let me find the Tara. So I've got to get the Tara up Discord first, and then I will post it. It's a large image. Sorry guys, I've got to post this. No. I wasn't as prepared. Open with browser. Does it only open with browser? Open in browser, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get the thing up. Yeah, so I was in this trance when I was, I'm going to go backwards and forwards in time. I was in this trance at about 4 or 5, back to 4 or 5 years of age now. This is the final vision that I'm going to talk about, the Red Tara. And I remember being in this trance where I was like pulled out of the physical world, I guess the Midgard world, the physical world, and then pulled by Lucidia, of course, and then absolutely dragged into the realm of the Taras. Now, the Taras in Buddhism are these female entities that are the guardians of the heavens. These are good entities. And normally the way that you can tell good entities apart from bad ones is that bad entities need human energy to sustain their forms in the physical world. That's why there's all of those dark occult rituals. They are loosh harvesting, basically, yes. Loosh harvesting of things like blood and goon rituals and other rituals involving human sacrifices and necrophilia and pedophilia. It gets that bad and it gets that dark because the purpose of those rituals are to break down your will, break down your inner will, embrace the natural, become the unnatural in the physical world So you can begin to become the unnatural in the spiritual world. And then you're inverting the natural cosmic order of natural law per se, but like not just natural law, the order of life. You begin to embody the inverted form. That's a lot of what the dark occult is. And you do all of those unnatural things because you want to get material gains, such as could be knowledge, it could be power, it could be money, it could be political influence, it could be influence on live streams, it could be anything. Cursing someone because they make you angry, cursing someone because they have a bad day, like that guy over there, I'm gonna curse that guy or that chick, and then they're gonna like get ill, and then if it's successful, you can take their power from them. It's so messed up. I don't mess with the dark occult. I hate the dark occult. I pray to vengeful entities to destroy dark occult practitioners and beings. So the Taras. The Taras are one of, I think there's 26 of them, or one of 26 forms, or I forget the number because I'm still studying Buddhism. But basically there's like a red Tara, there's a green Tara, there's a blue Tara, there's a white Tara, there's a gray Tara, there's a black Tara. These are the guardians of the heavens in Buddhism. And in this dream, I'm in the physical world, and then I get pulled by my arm by Lucidia. And Lucidia gets me to bow in front of a tiny little, what looks like one of those boxes inside a Buddhist temple, like a Tibetan Buddhist temple. And in the background, there's this Tibetan chanting. And I'll try to find it. I don't want to go there. I'll try to find the Tibetan chant that I'm talking about. The Maa Kaali, I think. Is it not gonna let me search through there? Damn. Okay. So basically, Tibetan chanting is very guttural. It's very like. At first, it's actually quite frightening, but then after a while, it does become quite relaxing. I'm going to go over to the red Tara. So in front of the box, this little box with like a door in it, this little altar, like a Buddhist temple in this vision of mine. And this is also when I'm like half awake. I'm not sleeping in this vision. Hey, JC, how you doing? Welcome. Spitting occult knowledge. That's right. We are occult maxing. We are going full schizo shaman here. Full schizo shaman, uniting the schizo shamans, uniting the schizo shaman maxing here. You know, not dealing with these physical beings, dealing with these supernatural beings this time, dealing with supernatural chicks, some of them. But this is the red Tara, and then this thing appears. These doors in this little altar open, and then this thing, she looks a lot like this. This is a very accurate description of my encounter with the red Tara. She's one of the protectors of the heavens. And she opens her eyes with this fiery, yellowy red eyes, two eyes, just staring at me so intensely. And then she like pops out slowly, supernaturally, out of this little doorway. And then she tells me that that's her. She tells me that babbling, gonna go to work. Have a good one, man. Have a good one. Thank you for joining my stream, babbling. Good to have you as always. Thanks, JC. Glad to have you as always. Like sup, JC, he says. Sup, y'all. W. Yep. Peace, babbling. Yeah, peace, babbling. Have a good one, man. So the Tara appears, but she gives me like this forewarning, I guess, or like a prophecy, a forewarning, because these entities can see past, present, and future. They don't have a physical body like us, in the sense that they're not bound to this linear perception of time. So they can see past, present, future further back than the average human being. Of course, human beings themselves have an infinite soul, because in the Christian cosmology, we are, you know, the image made in the image of the Father. Therefore, we have the Father within us, which makes us infinite souls having a human experience in Christian cosmology, Islamic cosmology, Jewish cosmology. But in pagan cosmology, we are an infinite collective soul having individual human experiences under individual human contracts, soul contracts. That's how the pagan cosmos works. It's probably YouTube messing up, because I can see your messages, JC. I think it's YouTube messing up because I could only see your messages 2x through the StreamYard, but not the chat. Not the chat. Are you not modded? Have I not modded you? I bequeath you with your sword, JC. You'll now have your priestly sword for banishing these trolling entities. So back to the Red Tara. She appears like this, with like such an intense stare in my eyes. And you can tell when good entities are good, because you will have this fiery electrical feeling in your nervous system. It will actually be giving you loosh. And then all of the bad, dark aspects of your shadow self, because the soul has a shadow self, by the way. Your dark, shadowy self, where, you know, you want to like do naughty things, think naughty things, do all kinds of bad things, that will begin to instinctively want to retreat from this presence. And then this presence will like electrify your nervous system, and it will give you like a burning feeling to such a point where you will start to have more clarity around these light beings, these good beings. And then your clarity would just like shoot through the roof. Your clarity will shoot up through the roof, and then your clarity will make you begin to see clarity in the dark aspects of yourself. So that's how I knew that this was definitely the Mai Tara, the Red Tara. And then she tells me that, Dennis, though you may seeketh the battlefields, though you may seeketh war, honor, and glory, war, honor, and glory shall not be awarded to you in this lifetime. For you will one day be chosen by the Phra. And I talked about the Phra in my previous stream, and in the vision, she has the Phra in her hand like this, and then she passes me the Phra. And she tells me that you're chosen from your Lao bloodline because you're not completely Lao. Your ancestors are not completely Lao. They are part Tibetan and part Japanese. And then they tell me that Queen Himeno from the Grand Shrine of Ise in Japan is one of my ancestors. There is a Queen Himeno, not from the Lara Croft game. There is an actual historic Queen Himeno. But she passes me the Tara. I mean, the Tara passes me the Phra or the Kila. Like this. Like that. Like she's awarding it to me. And then she basically says that you're the last of your lineage. You're the last in your line of shaman blood, for it skipped your grandmother and your mother, my bio mother, the Hungarian lady. It skipped your grandmother and biological mother, and then it passed the Phra to me. And she said, one of these days, when one of these days upon the moon of 33 number again, not the Freemasonic 33, the solar 33, which is the physical age of being 33. When you reach 33 solar steps, as she called it, or solar cycles, you are going to be initiated with the Phra. For war, glory, and honor is not yours on the battlefield, though you may seeketh it. For the temple seeks you, and you are chosen. And then, funnily enough, when I turned 33, I was permanently rejected by the Australian military for life because I failed too many times, despite being an Air Force cadet for 5 or 6 years in my teens. Being an Air Force cadet wasn't enough for them. They wanted someone who was not of my psychological profile. So I had the suspicion that my Tibetan / Lao / Hungarian, Tibetan, Lao, possibly Japanese ancestors have been in a spiritual war and an ancestral war with my Hungarian side. And I'm married. I am part of both bloodlines, a dark occult bloodline and then the Hungarian bloodline. So those are some of my visions. I have many more experiences that I can talk about curses, about exorcisms, about entity removals, about ghosts, different kinds of ghosts. But I did also want to cover, I think it was this graph here. Yeah, this image here, page 101 again. Still a very important graph. Still useful for pagans just as much as Christians. But basically on page 101 of your What is Happening to Me, as you can see in this figure here, you have these certain vices. These certain vices can be dark occultism, they can be alcoholism, use of drugs, whatever. And then going further down, you have the binding of these things into the flesh, the blood, the body, and then you have the world influencing you. And then as within, as without, what happens inside the spirit and the ancestral line happens into the metaphysical as well, and then it manifests out into the physical too. So that law of alchemy applies to everyone. That's not a negotiable law. As within, as without. That's not talking about inversion. As within, as without is describing what happens in the spirit world happens in the physical. And I very much believe what happens in the dream world is a reflection or one of the portals of the spirit world, which is, it could be an omen, it could be not just an omen, it could be a forewarning, it could be a prophecy, it could be many things. But you will have different karma and dharma in the Buddhist and the Hindu sense because you have different ancestral lines. And those ancestral lines affect the blood memory of the spirit world, and that blood memory affects your abilities to do X and Y and Z. So they're all connected. Rudolf Steiner has a very good book on this, and I'll cover this in a future stream about the blood, the occult significance of blood. So I'll finish off with that there, guys. Does anyone have any questions for me about the spirit world that they want to ask, or anything like that? Also, other insect beings exist. I used to get other visions of insect beings, like spiritual, ghostly, praying mantis beings. I used to see visions of scorpion beings. The scorpions were quite large. They were like this big. Astrally, that big. They were like scorpions with like women's heads on them and like long hair like a woman on them. They'll like smile and sneer at you, and they'll have their claws out like this. But normally when those entities would appear, any question's a good question, blacks. Any question's a good question. I have a question, it might sound dumb. No, any question's a good question here. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to understand forces that are not always scientific and within our control. That's basically the purpose of this channel, beyond me trying to find out more about my heritage, my Hungarian and my Lao heritage, because I am trying to preserve it. No, any question, Q&A is open, guys. If you have questions about the supernatural world, But please don't dabble into the dark occult. Study Aleister Crowley if you need to for your spiritual interventions, if you're called to that. But I wouldn't dabble in Aleister Crowley myself. I have dabbled in Aleister Crowley one time. I summoned the spirit of Lilith. I'll save that for another time. But let's just say that the spirit of Lilith will absolutely loosh harvest you, and she will harvest your goon, basically, and she will loosh harvest you until you have like no energy left whatsoever. And that's dangerous because an entity like Lilith is very voracious. She attaches very quickly, and she can kill you, basically. She can delete you by draining your loosh, your goon. What if you sage your house because of ghosts? How would they react? I have mixed beliefs about this. Blacks, saging is effective for demon cleansing and cleansing. They're not demons per se, but they're still parasite entities. The insectoid entities, a lot of them are parasites, not all of them. Sage you can use to clear out demons by going to the corners of your house and doing I call it the four corners ritual. This is something used in Slavic belief systems and Hungarian belief systems. I think Romanians have something similar, if I remember correctly. And the Catholic Church does this as well. And then they put the sage like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to the other corner of the house, 1, 2, 3 to the other corner of the house in a clockwise direction. Clockwise, not anti-clockwise. And what that does is that it sets like a boundary around the base of the house, because again, spiritual rights exist. So what happens in the spiritual world can only happen in the physical, and then there's a blending of the two. But it basically sets like a perimeter around the house, which is a bit like a protective shield. The ghosts should either be A, they should be put to sleep, or B, they should be told to go. Now, if you're going to do a cleansing ritual, have a door open during the daytime, or have your windows open during the daytime during the cleansing ritual. Ghosts and spirits cannot easily go in and out of doors unless the attachment is very, very strong to that site, like a murder site, for example. There's probably going to be a victim at a murder site in a house, like you saw on the other stream the other day, and they're going to be like running around in and out, maybe trying to escape the murderer as like a replayed memory. But normally ghosts will just be like a tape recorder. It will play the same memory again and again and again. There won't be anything new. There won't be anything sentient. If it is an ancestral ghost spirit, so someone who did pass away, they could still be attached to you through your bloodline, like what happened to me with Lucidia and Ascilia as well, the two guardian beings. But Sage, I do have mixed feelings about, because there's a spirit in the house called the house. There's a spirit in everyone's house that's called the spirit of the house. It's literally titled the spirit of the house, and its job is basically to protect the house from other entities. And Sage can risk putting the spirit of the house asleep. The spirit of the house may want to stay awake because it's doing its protective duties. But if you don't close, if you keep the windows and doors of your house closed during a cleansing ritual with Sage, the entity or whatever trying to escape can't escape. And it's like, let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out. And that's why during those rituals, you might see them bang windows, knock objects off window sills, or smack doors because they're trying to like escape when you're doing a cleansing. Again, depends on your intention, depends on the entity. I have mixed feelings about sage. I use things like Egyptian musk. I use things like rosewood. I think rosewood is more effective for targeting specific entities. It depends on who and what you're trying to cleanse. The reason why I'm asking is because my grandmother brought her friends here before she died. So in that instance, you're going to have to declare and decree out openly, blacks, that I name, because I don't know your actual name, blacks, I name, openly declare and decree that the time of my grandma and friend A, friend B, friend C, you're going to have to name them out loud, like you would name someone in a court case, like a spiritual court case, that they must leave the house. Your time to stay here has been expired. I do not wish, in the name of, again, you can mention your God the Father, if you want to mention God the Father, or Jesus Christ, if you're Abrahamic, to leave the house, because this is the place of the living. My grandma's goodwill no longer applies to me, for I am letting her go so she can move on into her next cycle, into the afterlife. That's something I would declare 2x. And then if you want to write it on a note and then burn it and then offer it as an offering with a prayer, you can do that method. You can just verbally say that I name, Black's actual name, hereby declare and decree that my grandma and entity A, entity B, entity C leave my house. Address, if you want to mention the address. You don't have to mention the address. You could just say my domicile. Hereby command you to leave in the name of blah, 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 for my grandma wishes to pass on into the afterlife, and I wish her well into the afterlife. So that's, it sounds like that there's a very deep, not just a grief ritual, but it's a very deep attachment the spirit of your grandma has to you. It is not the other way around. I don't sense that it's the other way around, but I might be wrong because I don't know your heart. It might be the grandma has a strong attachment to you and she can't let go, but you need to tell her to open the door into the afterlife to let her go. And then her friends, because they're attached to your grandma, they have to go by that ritual. With that, I might actually leave that with that stream. I think that's a nice way to end the stream. So did anyone have any other questions about these rituals, about death rituals, passing rituals, how to help manage ghosts or create a declare and decree declaration? Now, I do not do these rituals for money. These rituals are purely out of my own goodwill and free time. I do not do this for money. This is not something that should be monetized. Like a Catholic priest doing exorcisms, I hold the belief that these things should be done for free. I have other channels where I offer other things that if you want to support my work, I will start linking PayPal. But in this channel, I will not link my PayPal. On my IRB channel, I will not link my PayPal, because this stuff shouldn't be too this stuff shouldn't be commodified. Does anyone else have any? Are you not modded, JC? Oh no, okay, I got you as a moderator. Does anyone else have any questions or things about their spirits or other encounters? Another thing, just to sort of wrap up on, if someone has a declaration, makes a declaration on you openly or even indirectly, and you start to suddenly lose hair, and then you start to suddenly lose focus, and then you start to suddenly feel drained, that's one of the signs that someone has directly cursed you, by the way. Now, I do not like to play with curses because they can bounce back on the other person if they have not done you wrong, and then they can actually bounce back on you, and then you end up cursing yourself. So don't do curses. By curses, I don't mean like every day, like, oh, F word, C word, B word, whatever. Not those kinds of curses. I'm talking about like someone hereby insert name wishes misfortune on that person for a specific reason with the actual intention to do that. That's dark occultism. We don't do dark occultism here. I don't like dark occultism. And Christian, Islam, Jew or not, I go against dark occultists as well, just so you guys know. We actually have some common enemies, by the way. The Jews, the Christians, Muslims, and I actually have some common enemies. They're the dark occultists at the top. That's the only question I had, Blacks. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I hope my ritual helps 2x. Don't feel pressure to do that ritual today. When you feel in your heart with 100% conviction, no wavering, that you want to let your grandma and the spirits of her friends go, perform that ritual. If you want some help, I will give guys my actual personal address, email address, I mean, for these types of things. Things are important. menacemedia101@gmail.com. I will use this as my consulting email. I will make a new account in future, but a lot of my traffic does go to menacemedia101@gmail.com. If you guys have any specific questions or issues in the occult or the spirit world, or you want me to talk about one of your stories, I can react to your stories, and hopefully I'll find the right interventions for you. Because this is a lot like a spirit medicine in a way. It's a lot like you don't give, for example, you don't give CAT scans to someone who doesn't have cancer, right? Or you don't do bone marrow transplants if someone's blood is flat, someone's blood is fine. So it's the same with like the spirit world. You don't give an exorcism to someone who has a ghost problem, or you don't give ghost problem solving solutions to someone that has a demon or a witch problem. Different diagnoses will have different spiritual remedies to them. It's a lot like that. My Gmail has my real name, so I won't Gmail you. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. In that case, Blacks, feel free to reach out to me through the comments then, and you can keep your privacy. Your privacy is respected here. I won't identify anyone who wants to have these types of interventions. With that, thank you so much, Blacks. I appreciate that question. It was a very good question, by the way. And thank you, everyone else. Tehana, thank you for coming. Babbling. JC, Smell even appeared. Made an appearance. Thank you, Smell, as always. Humanis Invictus, the human spirit is never conquered. If you're Christian, you don't walk in Christ. If you're Christian, I am pagan myself. I am someone that will walk more in the Maa Kaali pathway and the Tibetan Buddhist pathway, and a bit of, a bit of Thor, a bit of runes, a bit of Thor, a bit of Odin. But whichever gods, goddesses, cosmology you follow, stay true to your ancestral bloodline, your body, blood, spirit, ancestral line connection, and do not let perennialism or universalism influence you. Universalism is a sneaky hydra that tries to make us, oh, we're all one, or we're all this. No, I don't believe we're all one. And two, like Hyperborean Knowledge, the YouTuber Hyperborean Knowledge, I do believe in an inequality of the soul. Yes, there is an inequality of the soul. Absolutely, there is. So don't get taken astray by NPCs or Hylics. Bye, everyone. Take care. Humanis Invictus, human spirit is unconquered.